My question is to ask the Minister if she will review the eligibility criteria for the deferred Leaving Cert examinations that will ensure that students who have an unforeseen medical emergency while sitting the examinations are eligible for deferred sittings, and if she'll make a statement on the matter.
The State Examinations Commission has responsibility for operational matters relating to the certificate examinations and has provided me with the following information. Candidates experience many forms of trauma and adversity, such as serious illness and bereavement, around the time of the Leaving Certificate examinations, and may be sitting examinations at a time that is not optimal for them. For the 2022 Leaving Certificate examinations, the SEC is providing an extended scheme of deferred examinations within the policy context of the scheme of reasonable accommodations at the certificate examinations. RACE was originally established to support students with a complex variety of special education needs in accessing the examinations each year. As well as providing accommodation for candidates with permanent or enduring special needs, the RACE scheme also provides for emergency situations which occur during the examinations each year. Until 2019, candidates who missed their Leaving Certificate examinations due to bereavement or for any other reason had no option but to sit their exams the following year. Deferred examinations were first held in 19 for candidates who experienced bereavement of a close family member. Prior to the pandemic, the SEC had been considering the broader issue of how best to support candidates experiencing different forms of trauma and adversity examination time, and this included consultation with stakeholders as well as researches into practices in other jurisdictions. For the 2022 Leaving Certificate, the SEC has considerably extended the eligibility of the deferred examinations to candidates unable to sit their examinations in the main sitting due to serious accident, injury or illness. Candidates who were absent from examinations on public health grounds due to COVID also have access to the deferred exams. The overarching principles in providing deferred examinations is to those who need them include safeguarding integrity and maintaining confidence in the Leaving Certificate to ensure equity and fairness for all candidates. Every possible effort will continue to be made by the SEC and by schools to accommodate candidates who suffer bereavement, illness or other trauma either immediately or before or during the examinations. In addition, the long-standing arrangements under the RACE scheme to support candidates in taking their examinations as scheduled include sitting the examinations in special centres or in hospital, provision of rest breaks, timetable alterations. These arrangements are available to candidates ineligible for deferred examinations.
Response, Mr. I want to quote you from might have been a press release that was released by Epilepsy Ireland last week following the announcement that a young man who had to leave his examination following an emergency had to leave. They said a seizure is a seizure whether it happens an hour before the exam or during the exam. It has the same impact on you. Minister, I suppose the question that I'm asking at the minute is very specifically related to people who have to leave examinations during the exam zone. We had an issue last week and I wrote to you, a young man had to leave his history exam after experiencing acute appendicitis. Initially that young man was told he wouldn't be able to repeat the Leaving Cert examination, that he'd had to leave in agony, and then I was following a staying campaign by his family on social media, politicians getting involved, he was then allowed to sit. I suppose what we're asking for is just a simple change of policy that enables people who experiences these extreme situations during the exam to know that actually you don't have to go on social media to relive that kind of pain and agony just to be able to re-sit an exam. So is there a change of policy that we can offer?
Minister. Thank you very much, Deputy. But again, to outline and to be just clear here, that the State Examinations Commission has statutory responsibility for operational matters relating to the certificate examinations, and also to say that, very cognizant this year of the, I suppose, unique circumstances in which we find ourselves, particularly through COVID. I have been an advocate from the very beginning that there should be a second sitting of the exam. I'm very mindful that students should have the maximum of opportunity to showcase their talents, and I think the second sitting of the exam is allowing for that, particularly, as I say, in COVID circumstances, or indeed if there is a significant medical emergency or a family bereavement, unfortunately, or something of that nature. I think it is important that in light of all that we have experienced this year, that there would be a review of how the scheme operates and how this particular sitting of the deferred examinations has operated, and that there would be a review engaging all of the stakeholders. And I think that's important, and the SEC are committing to doing that, and I think that's a positive.
Brief period, I have time left. Minister, I think the fact that there's a second sitting exam is very welcome of some issues in relation to the timing of it, but we can talk about that for a different day. The very specific question that we're asking today is in relation to what happens when a person experiences a medical emergency during the examination. The State Examination Commission have stated previously that they wouldn't be able to resit it. This was a welcome change last week on an individual case. What we're asking for is reflective of the fact that that individual case, and also the fact that Epilepsy Ireland have been highlighting this issue for many years, is what happens, and can we have a full policy, a full change? And I understand you say it's the SEC, but we are also kind of the leader in education. What happens, and can we have a full review and a change of policy to ensure that actually a person knows that if they go into an examination fearful of experiencing an issue, be it epilepsy, fit or otherwise, that they can just resit the exam without having to take to social media, lobby politicians, and then finally get an outcome that you should have just had anyway?
Thank you, Deputy. And again, I'm going to be clear.
Thank you.
I have never been ambiguous in being very clear around the fact that I am an advocate of students getting the maximum opportunity to, as I've said previously, showcase their talents and to present themselves in the best possible light at every step in education, including the Leaving Certificate exam. And I have said to you very clearly that there will be a review of the operation of this scheme. I think that's right and proper. I think there have been great learnings, not just this year, but indeed previously, and I think we need to look at those learnings going forward. And at the centre of it must be the opportunity for students to perform to their best capacity. And I think this review, which will take place obviously under the auspices of the State Examinations Commission, will be very helpful and will be, will provide direction for going forward.